I call the meeting of the Planning Board to order at 6:01 on February 25th. The Planning Board meeting is being broadcast live and also being recorded. We will take up the administrative items first. And the first item is approval not required of an A&R submission at 392 Sodom Road. And the applicant has requested that this matter be continued until they can add some additional materials to the drawing. Planner, is there anything to add to that? What would you like to, in your report?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we were just going to say that this item is going to be passed over as the applicant did file that extension to waive the 21-day A&R review requirement, and that decision was filed with Town Clerk on 2/24/25. So the development has been moved to the March 11, 2025 agenda. No action is needed at this time.
So we don't need a motion to continue it. It'll just come up on March 11th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have a few minutes to wait for the public hearing, which is scheduled at 6:15, which is the after the fact revision to a subdivision that was approved many years ago. Let's look at the assistant planner's report if you're ready.
Yes, Chairman. Yes, it's been about a little over a month and a half here. For me, the first priority is following up on some open cases. Cases ranging back from this calendar year all the way to 2015. So I'm verifying remaining balances held in sureties and identifying outstanding items. And then once that's finished, I'll be reaching out to these cases to ask for a status update. So as you can see, it's kind of a it's a robust list. Something interesting that the assistant planner is taking on from an administrative standpoint is helping out with the reuse of the old high school. So on Friday, February 14th, I joined town administrator on a walkthrough of the old high school. We met representatives from the school system and the school committee and the long-term planning committee. And we're working with consultants from RGB Architects, which I believe have not worked with town before. So as I said, I'm assisting from an administrative standpoint with minutes, coordinating agendas, meeting everybody. To be clear, this is not a planning department project. And then this past Friday, I toured the Council of Aging building with the RGB Architects, gave a tour of Town Hall Annex, and toured Town Hall. And then this upcoming Friday, I unfortunately had to leave the initial high school walkthrough a little early, so I'm meeting up with Kim Ouellette, the facilities director, to finish my tour and take a look at the cafeteria, the gym, etc. So that project, I know that it's kind of been on the table for many years, so we're hoping to actually see some action out of this. It's been very interesting. Chairman Whiten and I actually attended a Restoring Our Marshes webinar last week. It was kind of describing how at risk the coastal marshes are here in this state. So the trustees of Reservation of Conservation and Action hosted this webinar. They are doing some remediation work in the Great Marsh on the North Shore, which stretches from Gloucester up to Salisbury. Their goal is to restore the marsh, sustaining hydrology, because salt marshes are actually an early stormwater management system here in this region. So one method, they're using salt marsh hay secured with twine to replenish peat and to trap sediment. And another strategy that they're implementing is runneling, which is creating an underground channel to drain surface water. And so they've cited that they're already seeing restorative growth with these projects. And as my familiarity with Westport builds, where can we implement this, depending on where this study goes. So yeah, Jim and I were both in on that. And then lastly, inquiries and phone calls. I've just been answering the phone, taking the folks who come in. That's kind of ramping up as these weeks go on, and it's really building my relationship with townsfolk, my relationship with the engineers that we work with, the other consultants. So that's, I think, been really helpful with building my understanding of how this structure works and getting my finger on the pulse of what's going on in Westport. So I've been enjoying that. My confidence is building. Even today, we had a little bit of a lively day. Some folks came in and chatted for an hour. So that's, I'm enjoying that. I'm learning a lot. And with each passing week, I feel like, I'm growing. So it's been good.
Understanding the structure here in Westport could be a very big task.
Yes, so it's old-fashioned, but that's what draws me to it.
In the old high school reviews, I know that these are new consultants that were hired
Yeah.
out of the town meetings vote.
Gotcha.
One of the things that we should make sure that happens is that the prior studies and all of that, because I think this is, I don't know which attempt at looking at using the old high school, but a lot of work has been done before. We should just make sure that whatever that work was done has been handed off.
Yes.
And also, this was before you joined us, but I believe that perhaps through Serpent, they were coming in and doing this 3D modeling inside the building, so that you would actually have the room sizes and volumes and all of that. I don't know. I don't know where that stands, but I think that was a possibility and was in the works before. That would be. That would be. I think.
Okay.
And Mark Schmidt was. Mark Schmidt was on the committee, and I think he had arranged for that.
Okay.
So that's, if that exists, that would be, and it exists in a Revit or some 3D
Yeah.
modeling for them, that would be enormously helpful to them.
I'll look into that. Thank you. Yeah, the consultants have said that they're not trying to recreate any of the studies already done because there's so many. So they are definitely using that as a jumping off point. So I'll bring this up to them. Yep.
Just the pure, data gathering of
Yes.
how big are the rooms,
Mhm.
and how wide are the corridors, and how many seats are in the cafeteria, all of that stuff, would be very helpful for them.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
In all the phone calls that have come in, have there been any people showing interest in the housing production plan?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't had anyone call. I haven't observed Michael or Nadine taking a call where someone's specifically talking about the housing production plan.
Because that is controversial in several parts of the state, really controversial. But so far, no one's.
So to my knowledge, it's a draft. So would the public have knowledge that this draft is being created?
I don't know. We've talked about it here.
I see.
We have certainly talked about it, and I don't know that I don't even know if it's been, because that wasn't done under auspices, but
I see.
whether or not copies of the draft are in the library or something like that.
Oh, okay. Not to my knowledge. Michael and I were reviewing the draft actually together. I think it's still within Serped. It's very early for me.
And,
We've all read it, yeah.
Similar question on the updated zoning plans for accessory dwelling units. Have there been calls about that or anything?
One person called about applying for an STR permit for their ADU, but then they actually hadn't even acquired the property yet.
Yeah.
So that's the only one I've received regarding this, this new ADU legislation, the by right legislation. And I'm trying to think if Michael, if he does, it's a one-off, that conversation's done in 1 or 2 minutes.
Because that'll be a town meeting warrant article this year to bring our bylaw in conformance with the state's requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try our best to get information out for public discussion and everything, and but I guess it's human nature that people don't take those opportunities until town meeting rolls around, and then
Right.
everyone's,
Yes.
oh my God, we didn't have
What
a
is
chance
this?
to talk about it.
What is this all about?
Yeah. Why did you bring this up at the last minute? So, Okay.
We still have a few minutes. Perhaps if the members have had a chance to look at the,
Yeah, so the minutes
The minutes.
on January 14th, we passed these, right? And we're just amending them?
yes, these are the revisions.
And it's just one revision marked in red, which is to delete that motion on page 2. So I've looked at that, and so I would move that we approve the minutes of January 14th with, as amended by deleting the motion on page 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I've read the minutes of the 28th, and again, I really like the way these minutes have been reconfigured. They're very clear and complete, and I think accurate. So I would move approval of the minutes of January 28th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Probably didn't take long enough to discuss all that.
The minutes, we've got a minute or two here. And I had mentioned to Nadine earlier that the minutes are really quite extraordinary and very well done, and almost not exactly verbatim, but as close to verbatim as you can get, and this is I get to see quite a few town agency minutes, and very few look as good as this. Very few. None that I can think of.
We've got Climate Resilience Committee coming up on Thursday, March 6th at 5 o'clock. And I'd just point out that what we hope in that meeting is that we have Jeff Canton, who unfortunately is not going to be there on the 6th, has been putting together a draft of how all the subcommittee reports have been developed by their subcommittee chairs in their own way, and Jeff has come up with a way to try and bring them together so they would be a single report from a single committee that can be handed to the select board. But we've also met with 4 professors at UMass Dartmouth who have said that they're interested in helping us get into some depth in the areas we're looking at. And so I think we want to explain that to the full committee, how we think that partnership between the Climate Resilience Committee and UMass Dartmouth might work to be for the benefit of both the town of Westport, but also to UMass Dartmouth, an educational institution. And as far as we all know, the town of Westport is still the only town that has, other than the city of New Bedford, that has a resilience effort going on, and which I think, just like the town of Westport is the only town that has an offshore wind advisory,
Right.
Which speaks to the leadership of Westport. And so we want to say this is how we see this going, I think it'll be a Westport resilience report, kind of aimed at one level, and then a companion report by UMass Dartmouth that will be a deeper dive into areas. Then we'll see if we can get, depending on how many people attend on March 6th, feedback from the Climate Resilience Committee on whether they think that's the right direction or whatnot. But at any rate, that's what we're hoping to do on the 6th.
One of the things that the town really, a lot of the functions of the town are really carried out by a citizen volunteer basis, including my colleagues here on the planning board. And while we all get to serve on multiple committees, when it becomes time to produce really something professional looking that we can work on, the volunteer system sort of breaks down. That is, to have publication skills and graphic skills and computer skills and have all of those things so that you can produce a high quality report. We all know what it looks like, but it's not all of us sitting in front of our laptops trying to make it happen. So the idea of teaming with UMass that brings those sort of skills is really something that's a very strong idea. Thank you for that update, John. And it's now 6:15. Why don't you, Dia, why don't you fill us in on the status of this? This is a revision of an after-the-fact subdivision revision. So this was a subdivision that was approved under a rural residential lane configuration for a gravel roadway surface. And the project is under development and nearing development, and they paved the road without coming back and asking for a modification. So this is after the fact request to have the board approve a revision of the approved subdivision to allow a paved surface. So why don't you tell us where they are in the application and what they would like to have happen?
Yes, thank you. And just for reference, my name pronounced Dia, not Dia. So, thank you for providing the summary. The applicant is applying for an after-the-fact subdivision modification approval for paving Kayla's Way. As stated, the previous plan was approved in 2002 for a private gravel roadway. So continuing on to the staff review, I'm going to highlight the outstanding items just because the plan previously was approved. So just what deviated due to this paving of this gravel roadway. So, Section 2, width. The minimum width of the street right-of-way shall be as shown in Table A of the appendix. So the applicant was originally approved for a 12-foot gravel roadway, and they've now resurfaced with a 10-foot bituminous concrete roadway. The next section will be Section 5B2. Roadways shall be constructed for the full length of all streets in the subdivision. The center line of such roadways shall coincide with the center line of the street's right-of-way unless a variance is specifically authorized by the planning board. The minimum width of roadways between curb lines shall be as shown in Table A. So the roadway had already been constructed and curbing wasn't required on the originally approved plan. Number 3 in this section, all roadways shall be brought to a finished grade as shown on the profiles of the definitive plan and shall be constructed and provided with a surface in accordance with the then current standard specifications of the planning board. Curbing shall be constructed in accordance with to protect the adjacent land from erosion by the elements or encroachment by vehicles. So, as stated, the roadway was paved with bituminous concrete, but originally approved for gravel. Just wanted to highlight that no substantial changes to the grade were observed. Number 6 in this section, 5-inch by 5-inch reinforced concrete or granite bounds, not less than 3 feet in length, shall be set on the exterior street lines at all angle points, at the beginning and end of all curves, and at all intersections. Such bounds shall be set with their tops 0 to 4 inches above the proposed finished surface grade, depending on location, and shall conform to the then current standard specifications of the planning board. So the bounds have not been included in the as-built. Number 8, street name signs designed and installed in accordance with the planning board and highway department shall be provided. The street sign wasn't installed. The technical review committee did not provide any comments, but the consulting engineer has a few findings: that the proposed Kayla's Way sign be placed on utility pole 157, as it is not currently there. That the as-built plan does not show the concrete bounds or drill holes that were installed as indicated on the approved plans. Additionally, a letter from a registered professional land surveyor stating that the monuments were set in accordance with the approved plans is a condition of approval. Number 3, the as-built plan was not stamped by a registered professional land surveyor. Let's see. In addition, planning staff recommends 2 waivers. A waiver from the subdivision bylaw, section 5D2, that the volume of stormwater discharged for the 10-year, 24-hour design storm shall not increase as from pre-development conditions, and that the applicant is, that planning staff requests a waiver from subdivision bylaw, section 5D7, that post-development drainage not outletting into wetlands or existing drainage shall be designed so that peak runoff and stream flows in a 25 and 100-year frequency storm shall be no greater than 80% of the rate prior to development. So looking for a 20% reduction. Per MBL's review, Brian Dunn and Tracy Duarte, they identified a 14% reduction opposed to a 20%. So a motion to approve both waivers is needed, in addition to a motion to approve the modification with the following conditions. Conditions being that the applicant shall complete and submit a request to release the restrictive covenant after the road sign is installed, and that the applicable monuments are installed, to be verified by the consulting engineer. That the final as-built shall be stamped by a registered professional land surveyor in the state of Massachusetts. Per Town of Westport subdivision bylaws, section 2D1 and section 2D2, the board requires that the applicant pay fees consisting of the reasonable costs incurred for the employment of outside consultants engaged to assist in the review of the application, including costs associated with the as-built plan. Subsequent additional deposits by the applicant will be required if expenditures exceed the amount of the initial deposit. And number 4, that they add the waivers to the cover sheet of the plan.
Question. Is it all right if they use concrete bounds? You said granite, and sometimes it's tough to get granite.
I think it's, I believe it's granite or concrete. Yep.
Just because you had said granite, just yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I'm sure that, as long as the monuments are set. But,
Granite or concrete.
has the applicant received these reports and your comments?
The MBL report, yes, they've responded to the MBL's report, actually, and I can go over those comments. Yes, if you had seen.
The applicant hasn't?
So the applicant responded to MBL's comments, but not to my knowledge, I don't think they've seen the staff review. I'll have to check my email.
My question is aimed at, should we act on this tonight, or should we give them the reports and have them do the work and then come back in and we'll approve it when the work is done?
Do you mind giving me a second to think about that?
I mean, I'd be willing to suggest that we act on it, just because the owner of this has been in town for a long time. He's like the second or third, obviously bought it this way. He's trying to purchase another house in town, kind of has him up.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with Manny. I feel like we've been having a lot of correspondence with this applicant, so.
I think he lost the sale over it too.
Yeah. I
He
feel.
wasn't aware, and I'm looking at Careers Engineering, and I remember when Careers Engineering was doing my project.
Uh-huh.
He did buy it that way.
Gotcha.
Well, I would entertain a motion to approve it with the conditions. I'm not sure how that how that helps the applicant, other than they know that we would approve it, but,
Mhm, mhm.
I think you'll get right on it.
Yeah.
It looks pretty nice out there, I don't know if you can buy one.
Hmm.
It's a really good job. A second.
Are you making the motion, Mandy, or
No.
you want me to make a motion? Oh, the
You
chair's
make
not
a
making.
motion.
I'll move that we, approve this,
revision of the subdivision.
with the four, conditions that, Dia read. The four, sample conditions of approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, town planner was also looking for a motion to approve both the waivers requested. Is that something the board can entertain tonight as well?
I would entertain the motion, and
Yes, well, I'm not sure that is my motion to approve both waivers contingent on the four sample conditions. Is that one
Yes.
motion? Yeah.
yeah, I think that can be one
Yeah,
motion.
that's one motion.
Understood.
So it's, the approval has been, the approval of the waivers, or waivers
Yeah,
are given.
approve the subdivision
with-
modification of the plan entitled definitive subdivision plan of Jake's Estate, located in Westport, Massachusetts, at 1 Kalis Way, with the two waivers, subject to the four conditions of approval that you read into the record.
So that's, the vote we just took
Yeah,
is affirmed by that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there
So
any more
moved.
business?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.